Hi, welcome. My name is Vilingor, and in today's video I wanted to tell you a story about an object that is very dear to me. And in a typical male fashion, it's a machine. Sometimes, I don't know if this is your experience, but sometimes we have an object that really fits into our world, and it is really something that we need and something that is good and something that we love. Well, at least I have objects like that, and that kind of an object that we are going to be talking about today is this here, this watch here. And I will tell you a little bit of background with that watch. I will talk a little bit about the good sides of it through years of experience of wearing it and the bad sides of it. That will be it. Let's move to the talking hands shot. Hey, hi again, it's me. The talking hands shot. And here it is, the star of the show. Now, it's an old watch. I don't know, maybe more than 12 years old, I guess. And it's definitely not new. So let's start by addressing maybe the most obvious thing, and that is this rubber band here that is not the standard bracelet for a watch that one can have. So this is something I made, and there is a reason why this is this way. Because it is, in my opinion, the most comfortable way to wear a watch. It's easy to put on the wrist, like that. It's easy and fast. Now, I know there are some metallic wristbands that are elastic the same way this is, but the problem with those is that they are metallic and they are heavy, and also it's metal. This is just like it's a cloth. It's a cotton elastic rubber band that is used for clothes. So it's very soft, very comfortable, easy to replace, and it's not heavy. It's light. And it does not pluck the hair out of my hand. I don't know if metallic bracelets do that, but this one does not for sure. And also, another good feature of this design is that both lugs hold the band in place. And this is a good thing, because if one lug fails, which never happened after all these years, but if one lug fails, then the other one still keeps the watch on the wrist. So it's like a doubly secure, let's put it that way. The rubber band is just glued with some crazy glue here, not the best way to glue it. Later on I found a better ways to glue the band, but this was my first attempt, so there it is. So, this watch. It's a Timex watch, and it's an American brand, as far as I know. And I did not find this model. I don't know which model this watch is, because Timex, as far as I can tell, is quite it's quite unclear about models as far as I have researched it. For example, Casio is much more precise, much more specific. It is much more easy to find the model of the watch. But as far as Timex goes, it seems to me that is it a little bit more difficult to find the specific model of the watch, and particularly for a watch that is old as this one. This, as I said, maybe 12 years, maybe even more, I'm not sure, I'm not good at counting time, but it is many years. And I wore it on and off. I did not wear it the entire time. There was a time in my life where I was dedicated to meditation and stuff like that, so time was not important. Now I'm making YouTube videos, and now time is again important, so this is something very useful, and I will explain later what I use this watch for. I think it might be interesting, an interesting story to tell. So, one obvious thing that maybe you don't even maybe you even did not notice, but you only thought it was a kind of an unusual design, is that there was a rubber mask here that was glued here that unglued very quickly after I got a watch, maybe a few months in, and yeah, and that's a big flaw of this watch design. But interestingly enough, it's the only flaw with this watch. In my experience, when a product has a flawed design, usually it's the entire product that is flawed with flaws. Usually the level of quality that a product is made on is present throughout the entire product. So if the mask is not glued well, one would expect also for the buttons to be of low quality, or the back plate here for the battery to be of low quality, or the lugs to be of low quality, but it's not so. The rest of the watch is just rock solid, and as you can see, it's quite a chunky watch, and it's built like a tank, which I like. So I don't have to think about sitting on it, stepping on it, whatever. I can put it in my pocket, I can wash it, although I'm careful with my things, so I did not do any of these things, but I think he can take it, because it's just, yeah, such a rugged watch, and I love that about it. And which is also its only flaw, that it is heavy and it is big. So as far as comfort goes, wearing it all day long on a wrist is fine when I'm doing something that is physically demanding. When I'm moving, when I'm working and I need to tell the time, I can, see the time on this big screen easily at any time of the day, and that's great. But as I said, it's good when I'm working some engaging physical activity that can be damaging to the watch, so I don't have to worry about the watch, because I know it's built like a tank. So that's a good place to have this watch on a wrist. And but on the other hand, if I'm like taking a walk through the city and just relaxing and having this on my hand, well, I can feel it, that it is there, and it doesn't look pretty, especially without this mask. It's not the best looking watch, but it's okay, but not the best looking, and maybe. And I also have this tape here. It's just a transparent adhesive tape that I put on here. It's similar to what some smartphones have like a transparent tape over the screen, so to avoid scratches and stuff. Now it does not make the watch prettier at all, but yeah, it's something good against the scratches. And I'm actually delighted by the idea that I can do this. I never thought about it, but one day it just occurred to me, wait a minute, I can protect the screen against scratches. Even though this is a mineral screen, this glass here is mineral glass, which is fairly resistant to scratches, but I still managed to, just in a few first months I got it, I managed to scratch the screen with one single scratch. It's here, it's visible, barely. And that's it, that's all. But in any case, I just, for security's sake, for being safe, I just, put this transparent adhesive tape just to be safe and to be secure. And since I use the watch, as I said, in situations where it could get scratched, so it's a good thing to have there, for sure. So what are the advantages of this watch? Well, as I said, it's built like a tank, that's the first one. Another one, it's big screen. As you can see, the numbers are clearly visible. They're big screen with big numbers. And here is our time, and up here is the day of the week and the date. And everything is visible at a glance, and that's such a great thing. And I loved that about this watch immediately the first time I saw it. At one point I tried to replace this watch, to buy a new one, and I searched and searched, but I just did not find a watch that had all these features. And so I just gave up and said, okay, fine, this is actually the best I can get, especially because I live in Bosnia. So for me to find a Timex is difficult. In America, I guess they are way more common and they can be bought easily, but here where I live, not so much so. There are a lot of Casios here and other brands, but Timex not, unfortunately. And so what are the important functions to me, and what functions does this watch have? So let's just cycle through the functions by pressing this button here. So we have the time, clearly. Then we have chrono, which is resetted with this button here. Just a second, here we go, hold to reset, and here we go, chrono. Now it has some wonky things, it has some features that I don't use. For example, with this button we start the chrono and it runs nicely and smoothly, and again with this button we split the time. And he can memorize, I don't know up to how many laps. So that's good. I never used that feature, but I don't know, somebody probably would. I mostly use just the chrono feature to see how much time I'm spending on the things I'm doing. That's what I need this function mainly for. So if I'm gaming, if I'm working out, so just to know how many times did I spend on doing a certain activity. It's kind of important to me. So I know if I am tired, well, maybe the reason is that I've been working for several hours or something, so I feel it's okay for me to be tired. So it's important for my mental health that I am aware of how much time did I spend working, so I can tell myself you did well. So that's why it's important for me to keep track of the time. So that's chrono. And next function is the timer. Now the timer can be set at any amount of minutes or hours within 24 hours, I think. And this is also something that I use, and this is also a feature that I like to have in a watch. I would prefer to have even several timers, but this watch has only one timer, and it's hard to find watches that have several timers. But I would have, because if I want to change the time of the timer, I have to, press the buttons and all that and change the time, and then it stays that way. Right now it's set at 35 minutes. But I would prefer to have, let's say, the option of setting different timer times, and then I can switch between 30 minutes, 50 minutes, 1 hour, to have presets. But it is also okay this way. The main way I use the timer is when I take naps. So rather than setting the alarm and then I have to look at what time it is, then set the alarm let's say half an hour forward, so it wakes me up at the appropriate time, it is way faster and way easier to just set the timer at 35 minutes. That's usually how much I nap during the day, and just to do that. So that's what the timer is, and it is great to have this feature on this watch. So after the timer we get again to the beginning. Are these all functions? Let me see. Chrono, timer. Oh, alarm, sure. Alarm is what alarm is. I like it how I can turn off and on the alarm just by pressing one button here. That's awesome. And the alarm is what the alarm is. You set the time and it rings at a certain time, which is great. And it rings and the screen blinks, which is great. It has a night light, the watch, and it's hard to see right now. I would have to turn off the lights, but it's how is it called, the technology? It brightens the entire screen. That kind of a technology. It's not like a small LED on one side of the display of the watch, but it's rather that kind of illumination where the entire screen is brightened, and it's pretty clear to see in the dark, and it's good. It's good. I also, for example, one thing that I like also is that, for example, this light button here that is used for illumination is made of a plastic that fluorescent, that the plastic that illuminates in the dark. So that's a good thing. I think a good design to have. Not so much that I can find the button in the dark, because it's way faster to find that button in the dark just by touch, for which this button here is very useful, because it is where it is, so it's easy for me in the dark to feel where this button is, so I can orient the clock, because I know this button should be down, so I can orient the clock properly, and then if I know that this button is here, then I know that this button is here. So it by using the touch, it's much easier to find this button. However, it is useful for this piece of plastic to glow in the dark to find the watch in the dark. When I wake up in the middle of the night, it's not specifically to find the button, but it's useful to see where the watch is, because when one wakes up in the middle of the night, this is quite visible, which is a good thing for that. And so, what are some minuses of this watch? Well, not much really. I'm very happy with what I purchased years ago. It was a good investment for sure. And one only thing that I, for example, would like to be different is, as I said, more timers. That would be nice. And also, let me see. Oh yeah, the chrono here and the Casios have this sorted out differently. It's kind of too slow for my taste. So I can start it here with one button. No, here with one button, and that's all fine. And I can stop it here with one button. That's also fine. But then when I need to reset it, I need to press and hold it. And it takes some time for the chronograph to reset, which I know it's just a few seconds, but as for the way I am, I just like it so much. I have another Casio. I like it so much when I can just press one button, press another. I can just in a second I can reset the chronograph on the Casio. Here I have to wait a few seconds, and I would like that to be different, just because I'm not normal, that's why. And so it seems that me and this watch will be hanging out for quite some years to come. And the battery is easy to buy, easy to swap, and it lasts about 2 years. So I'm very happy with it. This is a watch that does so many things well, and it's an inexpensive watch for sure, and a great watch. It's not a smart watch. I mean, nothing against smart watches, but just charging every other day, and here I just put in the battery and I forget about it. So, and it does what I needed to do with measuring time and all that. Well, that would be it for this video. This is the story about some of my favorite material stuff that I like and enjoy, and that bring me joy daily. Yeah, just make me more happier man. So that will be it for this video. Take care and see you in the next one. Bye.